Hey guys, welcome to our new format. Me standing in front of my wall. All right, so this week is Lab 9, which is about titration. And I know we talked about this briefly in class. I think we might have done a problem as well. So what a titration is it is a method to find an unknown concentration of something. The most common ones are acid-base titrations, and that's what this lab is going to cover. So you would have, say, your acid in your Erlenmeyer flask, and that would be of unknown concentration, but you would put a known amount in. So a known volume of that acid would be in the Erlenmeyer flask, and you put an indicator in there as well. And what an indicator does is it shows an endpoint. So usually we use a universal indicator or phenolphthalein, and we know that if we're doing an acid-base titration, for example, that our endpoint should be 7, it should be neutral. When all of the molecules of acid equal all the molecules of base, they will have reacted and created a neutral pH 7 solution, right? Before that has happened, if we have an acid in our Erlenmeyer and we put our phenolphthalein, it will be clear, because phenolphthalein is clear in pH is less than 7. And then what we're going to do is use what's called a burette, which is a long graduated tube with a valve on the bottom. And it is, like I said, graduated, so you could see how much you dispense. And you would dispense that in a fashion, usually you can go kind of fast in the beginning. And as you get closer and closer to that endpoint, you're going to want to slow down. And what's happening is every time that base hits the phenolphthalein that's in the solution, it's going to turn it pink for a second. And then that pink is going to disappear because the acid is going to eat up that base. And it's going to go back to acidic, which is going to be clear. And it's going to keep happening. Base is coming in, turn pink, acid eats the base, turns clear. Boom, boom, boom. Then after some time, when we're almost at that point of equivalence, right? So when our acid equals our base, that pink is going to hang around for a little bit longer, because think about it. As that base goes in and turns pink, and there's only a few acid molecules left, those few acid molecules have to take their, it's going to take time for them to find that base to react. The whole time you're stirring it, by the way, with a magnetic stir. So it just persists for a little bit longer. And that's how you know you're getting close to your endpoint. So that's when you really want to slow down and go drop by drop, letting each drop react and make sure that it disappears. And then there's going to be that final drop that the solution stays pink. Now it's going to be a super, super light pink, and that's when you want to stop, because anything more than that, you've over titrated it, and now you're more basic. Now, this is not perfect, because actually phenolphthalein turns pink at a pH, I want to say around 8. So it's actually over, but for all intents and purposes in our chemistry lab, this is going to be good enough for that. So close enough. So that's what we're going to do. So you're looking for that endpoint. And I also have a simulation that I'm going to attach to this assignment for you guys to play around with and have some experience. So unfortunately, we're not able to get into the lab. All right, so please read through your lab 9. I will be putting up questions for that lab, so you'll need to be able to do these calculations. Now, there's a couple different calculations in the lab, but I'm just going to focus on the one that you would actually use versus like all this other stuff. So I have it on the board. We have sodium hydroxide reacting with KHP, potassium hydrophthalate. Okay, that's your acid, okay? You have this reacting, you make this thing called KNAP, which is just your salt and water. So anytime you have an acid-base neutralization, you make salt and water. So if it was sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric, you would make sodium chloride and water. You're always making water and the salt, that, whatever your cation and anion combine to form for that salt. So in a problem, you'll always be given a couple pieces of information. You'll be given, excuse me, the molarity, let me back up. You'll be given your known. So you have 0.500 grams of your KHP, which has a molar mass of 204. So there's the formula in there somewhere in the structure, but you're given the molar mass. And then you have your sodium hydroxide, which I'm rounding, it's a molar mass of 40. And we want to find out what is the molarity of that, okay? So we know from our equation that it's a 1-to-1, which the problem also says, by the way. I know this is written kind of weird, but if you read the lab, you'll see it's a 1-to-1 stoichiometry. So once we know moles of this, we also know moles of this. Now we want to find out molarity. What is molarity? If you remember back, molarity is moles of solute over liters of solution. So it's a concentration. We don't have moles of solute, which would be our sodium hydroxide. And we don't yet have our liters of solution either. But in the problem, we're given that our burette, now again, that's the tube that's graduated, and you'll see that in the simulation. We started with a volume of 0.15 milliliters. Now, in all honesty, you would probably start a titration at 0. So the top, by the way, is 0, and the bottom is, say, 50 or 100 or 25, whatever size burette you have. So what has happened in this is you're actually starting at 0.15 milliliters, not at 0, which is kind of silly. Just go to 0, right? And it tells you in the problem, this is just problem 1 from your lab, that you're ending at 30.50 milliliters. So you haven't used exactly 30, you've used a little less because you started at 0.15. So we do have a volume. We do have a liter of solution. It's in milliliters right now, and you'll see where that comes in a second. We need to get to moles of sodium hydroxide, right? Because we have liters of solution. We're going to subtract those two things in a second. We need to get to moles of solute. So how do we do that? Well, we know grams of this, and we can convert that into moles by using the molar mass. And then because it's a 1-to-1 stoichiometry, we can just switch to moles of sodium hydroxide and then divide by the volume. So one thing you want to keep in mind is, are you going in with a moles of this? Also, you can go into this with a molarity, which is a moles of liter of that, which we'll do an example of that in a second. But here we're just given the grams, so we can just go right into moles. So we start out with our 0.500 grams of our KHP. We divide that by the molar mass, and now we're in moles of KHP. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, so all we're doing is taking that 0.5 and dividing by the 204, which gives us a 0.00245 moles of sodium hydroxide. Now, if you remember, molarity is always moles per liter, so we have to change this volume that we started with into liters. So that moves the decimal point 3 times to the left because it's dividing by 1,000. So when you subtract those and divide that mole number by that, you wind up with a molarity of 0.0808 molar, and this is sodium hydroxide. Now, let me show you a different way, and the way that I prefer to do these. Let's do sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid, okay? That's a very common one, okay? This is a double replacement acid-base neutralization. Your sodium is gonna get with your chlorine, and your hydrogen and your OH, your HOH is gonna be water, right? So you have NaCl plus H2O. So it's a 1-to-1. So say in a problem like this, you were given that you had, let's say 0.1 molar sodium hydroxide, and out of your burette, you dispense 25.6 milliliters, okay? And you know in your flask, right, in your Erlenmeyer, that you put, I don't know, let's say 10 milliliters, and we'll make this, hold on, for sig fig purposes, 10.0 milliliters, and let's make this 0.10, so we just have a couple more sig figs in there, okay? So we want to know, question mark, what is the molarity of our hydrochloric acid? We have to start with the piece that we know the most about, which is our sodium hydroxide. And remember, we want to get to molarity, which is moles per liter. So in this already, we already have one piece of that, right? So if we look at molarity, our liters is 0.0100. All I did was divide that 10 milliliters by 1,000 to get 0.0100 liters. So that is the volume of that solution. Now, all we need to do is fill in moles, right? So question mark, moles. So see, when we take molarity and we break it down into its parts, it makes it a little easier to understand. We need to find moles. So how do we go about finding moles? Well, We have a molarity here, which again is a mole per liter. Sorry, that's probably tiny. And we have a milliliter. So we know from stoichiometry that for every 1 mole of this, we react 1 mole of this. So we can use what we have here to get out moles, can't we? Because I'm in a moles per liter and I have milliliters. I'm going to use that milliliters to extract out moles. Now, one concept that a lot of people have a problem with is sort of like, think about miles per hour. If you're going 60 miles per hour, that's per 1 hour. But maybe you didn't drive for an hour. Maybe you only drove for a half hour. So you would go 30 miles. So, but your speed is still 60 miles per hour. So your concentration is still 0.1 moles per liter, but you didn't use a whole liter. You only used 25.6 milliliters. So I always like to start with my molarity, right? And I'm going to write it out. I'm going to write out the units. Mole sodium hydroxide per 1 liter, okay? I want to get rid of liters so I can be in moles and use stoichiometry. I'm going to multiply this times 0.0256 liters. All I did was turn these milliliters into liters, which allows me to cancel out liters. Now I'm in moles of sodium hydroxide. You could think about this as being over 1 if that bothers you, with it just floating out there, but that's what it is. Now I'm in moles of sodium hydroxide. I want to get out of moles of sodium hydroxide, so that goes on the bottom. And I want to go into moles of HCl. And we know this is a 1-to-1. This gets rid of your moles of sodium hydroxide, and now you're in moles of HCl. So I didn't do this calculation yet. Let's see, we have 0.1, and we multiply that times 0.0256, and it's just multiplied by 1 divided by 1. And we get out here 0.00256, and this is moles of, what are we in? HCl. Oops, I almost wrote sodium hydroxide. And we divide that by how many liters we had. And again, remember, we have to move that decimal point. So I'm going to divide that by, oh, I just lost my answer, 0.00256 divided by 0.01. And I just did 0.02. What is wrong with me? 256. I want to make sure I have the right number of, okay, and I get 0.256. Probably could have did that in my head. 256, and this is molar sodium, I keep writing sodium hydroxide, HCl, right? Because it's a mole per liter. Now you could leave it as mole per liter, but it's nicer just to write molar. Now, if you look back to our sig figs, our molarity here, the 0.010 only had 2. So we would actually just change this to 0.26 molar HCl, and that would be what we have. So as you could see, we now have our concentration. We could also now, because we have moles, right? I'm going to do this one quick. 0.0256 moles of HCl. We can now calculate how many grams that is, because we know 1 mole is 36 grams. That's just our standard mole calculation that allows us to go from moles into grams using how much it weighs, right? All I did was add together 1 hydrogen and 1 chlorine, 1 plus 35. So I take that 0.00256, remember just the moles, not the molarity, times 36, and that gives me 0.09216. I'll just leave it at 92, and this is grams of HCl. So that's about all you could really do with that. There's some questions in the lab that talk about the total volume of the solution. I don't think that's as important to really worry about, given the times we're in. We're trying to, you know, cut things down a little bit and make them more digestible. So take a look through this. There's tons of resources online. You have your textbook. You could also look up titration, other titration videos. And please play around with the simulation as well, and there will be a quiz online on this material.